The theater lights dimmed, and before a single note was sung, something already felt different. The camera slowly moved across a sea of faces, judges, audience members, people at home holding their breath until it stopped on one small figure standing alone at the center of the AGT stage. A Filipino boy, barely tall enough to reach the microphone comfortably, wiped his palms on his trousers as if trying to steady a heart that was beating too loudly for his chest. In that moment, before he even spoke, viewers around the world leaned closer to their screens. And before this story unfolds any further, if moments like this move you, if stories of courage and raw emotion matter to you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like his deserve to be shared, remembered, and felt. His name was Miguel. He was 13 years old, from a small coastal town in the Philippines where mornings began with the sound of roosters and evenings ended with prayers whispered over cracked wooden tables. Music had never been a dream born from luxury for him, it was a necessity, a refuge. When he was 7, his father, a fisherman, was lost at sea during a storm that came without warning. The waves took more than a life that night, they took stability, security, and the easy laughter that once filled their home. Miguel's mother became both mother and father, washing clothes for neighbors by day and selling homemade food by night. Miguel learned early that dreams had to be quiet, careful things, tucked away behind responsibility. Yet every morning at school, before lessons began, the national anthem played over the speakers. Lupang Hinirang echoed through the courtyard, and Miguel sang, not loudly, not to impress anyone, but with a sincerity that surprised even his teachers. The anthem reminded him of who he was, where he came from, and the strength hidden inside his people. When he sang it, he felt close to his father, close to the sea, close to a country that had known hardship and resilience for generations. The idea of auditioning for America's Got Talent felt impossible at first. America was a word he associated with distance, with things beyond reach. But a teacher noticed his voice one afternoon during rehearsal for a school event and told him something that changed his life: your voice carries truth. Don't keep it small. That night, Miguel told his mother about AGT. She smiled, tired but proud, and said they could try, not because they expected miracles, but because hope itself was worth the effort. Raising money for travel meant selling their few valuables and accepting help from neighbors who believed in him. The entire community gathered the day he left, some pressing coins into his hand, others hugging him as if he carried all their dreams in his small backpack. Miguel promised he would sing not just for himself, but for them, for his father, and for the Philippines. Standing on that massive stage, the weight of that promise pressed down on him. Simon Cowell watched quietly, arms crossed, known worldwide for his sharp honesty and emotional restraint. "What are you going to sing?" Simon asked. Miguel swallowed and answered softly, "Lupang Hinirang. Our national anthem." A murmur rippled through the audience. An anthem on AGT was risky, no flashy vocals, no tricks, just meaning. When the first note left Miguel's lips, something shifted in the room. His voice was pure, trembling slightly at first, then growing stronger with each line. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. Every word carried longing, pride, and pain. The camera caught audience members wiping their eyes, judges sitting forward, completely still. And then it happened. Simon Cowell blinked, looked away, and for the first time in a long time, tears streamed down his face. Miguel sang as if he were standing on Philippine soil, barefoot, facing the rising sun. He sang for lost fathers, hard-working mothers, and children who dared to dream beyond circumstance. The anthem filled the theater, not as a performance, but as a prayer. When the final note faded, there was silence, a heavy, sacred pause, before the room erupted in applause. People stood, crying, cheering, clapping until their hands hurt. Simon struggled to speak. "I've heard thousands of voices," he finally said, his voice breaking, "but this came from somewhere deeper. You reminded us why music matters." Miguel nodded, tears streaming freely now, overwhelmed by the realization that his quiet dream had reached millions. The judges voted unanimously, sending him through. But more than advancing in the competition, Miguel had already won something greater. Messages poured in from around the world, from Filipinos who felt seen, from parents who saw their children differently, from viewers who remembered forgotten dreams. Back home, his town gathered around a single television, crying together, proud beyond words. Miguel's journey didn't erase hardship. His mother still worked long hours.
Life didn't suddenly become easy. But hope grew louder. Opportunities followed. Scholarships were offered. And Miguel kept singing not just Lupang Hinirang, but songs that told stories of courage and compassion. By the time the episode ended, viewers weren't just watching a talent show anymore. They were reminded that greatness doesn't always arrive with confidence and polish. Sometimes it arrives barefoot, trembling, carrying the weight of a nation in a small, brave voice. And if this story touched you, if Miguel's journey reminded you of the power of belief and resilience, take a moment now, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because somewhere out there, another child is standing quietly, waiting for the courage to sing. Sometimes, the world changes not with noise, but with a single quiet breath before a song begins. The lights are bright, the cameras are rolling, and millions are watching, but in the center of the stage stands a small Filipino boy, barely tall enough to adjust the microphone on his own. His hands tremble slightly, his chest rises and falls, and in that moment, the entire theater seems to lean forward. Before this story goes any further, if moments of courage, sacrifice, and raw human emotion move you, take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this deserve to be remembered. His name is Miguel. He is 13 years old, born and raised in a small coastal town in the Philippines where life is simple, but never easy. Mornings begin with the sound of waves and roosters, and nights end with quiet prayers whispered in dimly lit homes. Miguel did not grow up dreaming of fame. Music was never about applause for him, it was about survival, about holding on to something when everything else felt uncertain. When Miguel was 7 years old, his father, a fisherman, went out to sea one evening and never returned. A sudden storm swallowed the boat, and with it, the steady foundation of their family. From that day on, Miguel's mother carried the weight of the household alone. She worked long hours washing clothes, cleaning homes, and cooking for neighbors just to make enough for food. Miguel learned early that childhood could not last forever. After school, he helped wherever he could, always watching his mother's tired hands, always wishing he could do more. Every morning at school, students gathered in the courtyard as the national anthem, Lupang Hinirang, played through old speakers. While others sang out of routine, Miguel sang with meaning. The words were not just lyrics to him, they were memory, identity, and hope. When he sang, he felt close to his father. He felt proud of his roots. He felt strong, even when life told him he was small. One afternoon, during a school event rehearsal, a teacher paused and listened. Miguel's voice was not trained, but it was honest. It carried something deeper than technique. The teacher told him something he would never forget: your voice carries truth. Don't keep it hidden. Those words planted a seed. For the first time, Miguel allowed himself to imagine a future where his voice could matter. America's Got Talent was a name he had only heard on television. America itself felt impossibly far away. But when Miguel told his mother about the audition, she looked at him with quiet strength and said they would try. Not because they expected miracles, but because hope was something they could not afford to lose. Raising money for travel meant sacrifice. Neighbors contributed what little they could. Some gave coins, others gave prayers. The entire community came together, believing in a boy who carried all of their dreams in his small backpack. When Miguel left the Philippines, people hugged him tightly and said, "Sing for us." And he promised that he would. Standing on the AGT stage was overwhelming. The lights were blinding, the audience massive, and the judges legendary. Simon Cowell sat at the center, known worldwide for his sharp honesty and emotional control. When Simon asked what Miguel would sing, his voice shook slightly as he answered, "Lupang Hinirang, our national anthem." A quiet tension filled the room. Singing a national anthem on a talent show was a risk. There would be no tricks, no spectacle, only emotion. Then Miguel took a breath, and the first note left his lips. It was not perfect. But it was real. As he sang, his voice grew steadier, stronger. Each word carried pride, loss, and love. The theater fell silent. Audience members wiped their eyes. Judges leaned forward, completely still. And then something happened that no one expected. Simon Cowell looked away, blinking hard, tears streaming down his face.
Miguel sang as if he were standing on Philippine soil, facing the ocean, singing to his father, to his mother, to his people. When the final note faded, there was a long, sacred silence, followed by an eruption of applause.
The audience stood. People cried. The moment was no longer just entertainment. It was human. Simon struggled to speak.
"I've heard thousands of voices," he said, his voice breaking.
But this came from somewhere deeper. You reminded us why music matters. Miguel nodded, tears falling freely now. In that moment, he was no longer just a contestant. He was a symbol.
Back home, his mother stood in front of a small television, surrounded by neighbors. Tears ran down her face as she watched her son stand tall on a world stage. It was not just Miguel's victory, it belonged to everyone who had believed when belief was difficult. The competition continued, but Miguel had already won something far greater than a trophy. Messages poured in from around the world. People saw themselves in him. Parents saw their children differently. Dreamers remembered why they started. Life did not instantly become easy. His mother still worked long hours. But doors opened. Opportunities followed. And Miguel kept singing, not for fame, but for meaning. This story is a reminder that greatness does not always arrive polished and confident. Sometimes it arrives quietly, carrying pain, courage, and hope in equal measure. A small boy. A single microphone. A song that crossed oceans. If this story touched your heart, take a moment now, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because somewhere out there, another child is standing in silence, waiting for the courage to sing.